Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Kyle Katarn here.
On the Bendu.
Today we are joined by our good friend, Ronin Unchained, who was
Hello.
about to introduce himself, and I entered.
It's all good. It's all good.
Welcome back to the Dork Forces podcast. This is episode 91, hot off the heels of episode 3 of Skeleton Crew. That's right, because we're coming to you from a brand new time slot, poised to strike as soon as the episode drops.
Yeah, this is going to be an experimental time slot for sure.
Yeah.
But the people,
but a welcome one.
People are here.
An
Hello there, ahoy gonks!
A welcome one. But
yes,
yeah,
thanks for having me on the show.
So, ahoy gonks, and ahoy ye space travelers. But yes, so 3 episodes in. Ronin, how are you feeling about Skeleton Crew so far?
I'm having fun with this show. Again, it's one thing I remember mentioning that like it's weird that like right now there's not that much like danger. There's no battle. That we're not living in a lawless planet. There's no recruitment of rebels, or there's no conspiracy on the run. It's just some kids that got on the wrong bus and now they got to get back to where they're from. But they didn't know their zip code, and apparently their zip code is not on the map.
That's such a good. They just got on the wrong bus. I love that.
And I'm loving that the dynamics we have already. And to me, we must protect Neo, KB, SM33, and a new character that we'll talk about later that I adore so much. So yeah, I'm digging it.
Yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun, and you touch on something that I've been feeling as well about how the galaxy doesn't have to, like, the fate of the world's at stake every time. Like, those stakes don't necessarily have to be there. Like, kids getting on the wrong bus can be enough for a compelling story. And it kind of reminds me of the first season of The Mandalorian, because I felt the same way. Yeah. That, like, what the actions of Din Djarin aren't really like, there's no butterfly effect here where it's like making galactic proportions. It's just contained to that one planet. And I like the way that we're kind of contained to these kids here in Skeleton Crew 2, but they're definitely hinting at a much larger like mystery out there about Attin and about the history of this planet. And I think they'll give us all the tools we need to solve that mystery, like ourselves as the viewers, by the end of the season. But I also like that it's not the main story. The story isn't the mystery. The mystery just happens to also be there,
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think something we touched on like last week with the podcast, or something that I was mentioning, was that I really appreciate that we kind of have a reverse treasure hunt, because we've already seen the treasure. We know that it exists, but like now we're having to work backwards because we don't have a map. We don't have any sort of like idea or recollection of how to get there, except for like kind of, I guess, what we were able to break down and derive from our good old friend, the spirit owl librarian, shout out from Avatar, and now
so good,
like
so good,
amazing creature puppet that
physical, definitely a physical puppet too, right? So good.
But yeah, no, in terms of the galactic impact, for sure, it is very refreshing having something that is more close to home. Which I think is what I really liked about Visions also, even though Visions has nothing to do with any sort of canon, but all of them contained within their own singular universes just like really made them more wholesome and enjoyable to watch, because there wasn't that weight to it. There wasn't like that, oh man, what are the stakes here? It's like, no.
That's
the story.
That's who it was. That's who it was. Bendu and I were like, who's the Ishi Tib? Who's the Ishi Tib's voice? It's fucking Dr. Octopus, dude. That's totally who that was.
Shit.
That's totally who that was. Thank you.
Oh, dude. Shit. Power of the sun in the palm of my hand, dude?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Great cameo. Yeah, it was awesome getting to hear that voice.
Wow. Good to know. Yeah, as soon as I heard
also,
that voice,
go to bed,
like, I know I've heard that before.
Have a good night.
Who is that? Who is that?
Dude, I love Archimedes so much. One of my favorite Disney characters of all time. And Merlin, too. But I got that vibe. It definitely got like cranky owl, which is, kind of a stereotype, but like a good one. And
Quill, dude, I got Quill vibes. Like it's what Quill
Yeah.
brought to Din and Grogu. I think what's her name? She brought to the kids and even to
kind of a gruff mentorship, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I love that. Like it's already like I'm like, all right, I want a Neo SM33 and her action figures already, and
I want to. I just want to spend some time in the observatory, reading through the data pads and looking at
Dude,
like
absolutely.
all the planetary information that's
Yes.
recorded. Like that's fascinating to me. I want more of
Yeah.
that like nerd stuff. And what a great little like nerd spiel, like all the techno babble that they came up with to explain the position of Attin and why we can't find it, etc.
Okay, but also the fact that Attin had sister and brother planets that, for whatever reason, were destroyed over time, and now
fellow jewels of the old republic.
Yeah, dude. Like, I want to know. Like, that's a very specific wording, and like that's really fucking cool to think of like a series of planets as like very specific jewels of the universe or like jewels of that galaxy, and the fact that 6 of the 7 were destroyed for whatever reason.
Chancellor.
Either mining or just like people fighting over it to the point where
who knows,
they just got destroyed over time.
At least one could have been killed in the great hyperspace disaster at the start of the High Republic novels, because that shattered at least 1 or 2 worlds. Dude, Lena So, Supreme Chancellor of the High Republic, that totally could have been her on the big manuscript that had those planets on it, which I am chomping at the bit to sit down and translate that Aurebesh, by the way. I'm going to try and do it by tomorrow.
The scroll was so cool looking.
Like there's definitely stuff to learn in there. If Star Wars Explained doesn't beat me to it, we'll see. If he does, I'll be like, that's fine. You can do it instead.
But yeah, the amount of small details that we really got in this episode, just like with overall set design and the fact that we got more details out of the knife, that I'm like, my brain is going so out of order because the episode was just like so much like cool, fun stuff within 40 minutes. But like the fact that we got to see the little kukri like machete dagger gets pulled out of the wall.
Oh, that was sweet.
That we know that he has like
I'm a sucker for a good like collapsing skeleton.
Yes.
Like the sounds were perfect.
I'm still on board with thinking that he's force sensitive. Is he a Jedi? No, absolutely not. No. There's probably not any sort of
with Fern on this one. I agree with Fern that he's whatever he is, he's not to be trusted. And he doesn't have a good reason to be lying to the kids.
It's a what's his name? Long John Silver from Treasure Planet, where he's got this agenda to his own, but then at the end of it, he falls for the kid and he's like, okay, I'm gonna do the right thing and whatnot. I feel that's the we're going. Like I think Treasure Planet, which I haven't seen in a while, I remember being that big part of my childhood before the Pirates movies. That I'm sensing that with this.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. That's exactly what I'm sensing with it too. Like he's fully gonna develop a conscience after already like selling them up the river and then have to come back and rescue them.
Yeah.
But did you guys catch the reference, the reveal of who he is?
So isn't he One-Eye? No, Jack something. If you
he's Crimson Jack, right?
And that's a comic book character.
That is a comic book character. That is one of the first primary antagonists for Han Solo in the OG Marvel Star Wars comics, and my man Crimson Jack has like bright red beard, and he's wearing a little blue like leotard, and like just naked legs out there in space, kicking ass.
That's so nerdy. I love that.
It's quite a choice. He's dressed like Bolo and Ketch from Bad Batch, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's choices being made.
I mean, they gave him a blue tunic shirt instead of a leotard.
Yeah.
But
the design's there. Yeah, no, that's who he's supposed to be, is Crimson Jack.
But that's fantastic. I mean, to think it's not even just a reference from the comic books from modern times. It's from the 80s, 70s, 90s, if you will, or like
79, I want to say. I'll find a picture of him for you. Hold on.
That is so cool. I love that. Like that's what
me too. I'm here for the deep cuts, man. It's my favorite part of all of this. It's getting to see like references to things that no one even remembers exists anymore.
Depending on the time period that this show is supposed to be happening in, I mean, Han Solo and Jude Law's character could be close to the same age. So if they did want to, try to say that this is an antagonist from like young Han Solo's back in his day, like they could do that.
Right, which
And
it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Han was only just facing Boba Fett when he was coming up the ranks and when I was like,
Right,
no, there's got to be more to it than just
Right, and Jude Law is an old enough age that like he could have tangled with a younger Han Solo back in that day,
Yeah,
fully.
Yeah.
Right, there we go.
Yeah, I even love that there's those moments where like to me I found it very fascinating when he was like checking on the kids while they're asleep, and KB was just like, it's like, I don't trust you when like sometimes you can't
calling it out.
calculate things, you have to go with your gut. And how even that line's thrown back at her is like, what do you tell you, to trust your gut? And no, use your head and whatnot, which is what KB is doing with the calculations. And I'm just like, I love that.
That was really nice to see her alternative way of thinking be validated by a grown-up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise their only source of like advice and authority is this super untrustworthy Jod. And like I think the owl definitely counts as a grown-up in their lives, even though it's like a little weird owl puppet. That's like because we live in Star Wars and aliens are normal, so it just works. But yeah, no, I thought it was very good to see KB being given more well-rounded advice than just what she was told by Jod, because clearly we can't trust this guy. Here is a picture of Crimson Jack. For those
Also
of you
with a little
who have
more
heard of
like
him before.
character development too. Like we still don't know much about KB, but we did get to see her parents in the like family reunion. Wow.
So there's old Crimson Jack.
Dude, that looks like Jude. Yeah, no, that could be Jude Law. Absolutely.
That could be him.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about this boy in the back, not the foreground guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. and then actor who played the Dread Pirate Roberts could easily be that Link green dude in the back who looks like Buff Link with a French mustache. Yeah.
I love that they've got the one guy looking like Meatloaf with like the scarred up face and like the big hair. There's some great like just like little subtle references within the pirate gang themselves. Yeah. Also, Droid heard it. That you're totally right. The X-wings that show up in the end, they're blue livery instead of red, because that's what the original X-wings were colored, until they realized they were filming against a blue screen and the models, it just wasn't working, so they changed it to red. But that's awesome. Another awesome nod. But yeah, man, I think I could pull off Crimson Jack as a cosplay
for Japan.
Japan, there you go. I could make it
Japan
happen.
would love it. Japan, absolutely.
I should probably start doing some squats. Should probably get on that now.
Yeah.
Oh man. So that's Crimson Jack, and now the world knows. Good times. I also agree with Fern where she said that the escape felt too easy. And I feel like the pirates let them escape because Jod is working in concert with Captain Brutus and the crew. He's like, the only way I'll let you out of that jail cell is if you can lead us to Attin. Like an off-camera like deal was made while we were focusing on the kids. Like that's what happened, because they cut away with him, like the crew mutinying against him. There's no reason why they wouldn't then like try and take over and then use him as a mole, like force him to do this work. Or he talked his way into it because the alternative was death. They were just going to kill him, and he's like, "Well, wait, let me deliver Attin to you first."
I don't know, man. I don't
like that kind of move.
Yeah,
I think he still believed in Attin, but he didn't he had no leads or no way to give assurances that he could deliver, especially since apparently he's given so many jobs that fell through at the end, or for whatever reason didn't come out to fruition the way that he promised. But I don't know. I still think that there's a lot to be revealed. I'm not immediately convinced yet. Because look, okay, so with Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, the whole mutiny against Jack Sparrow and the way that the crew treated him versus the way that Barbossa treated him, the rest of the crew kind of just follows whoever's in charge is saying. So if Brutus is, Brutus seems pretty pirate lordy. He seems pretty legit. I like that we got to
I would vote for Brutus over John, just saying.
Say again?
I'd vote for Brutus. He's got my vote.
Yeah, he's pretty beautiful.
Who would you vote for in the Brutus Salad Face Pirate King election?
Oh, Brutus still.
Over Gorian Shard? Okay. I don't know, man. He's so
Here's the
green.
problem, though. Here's the problem, though. Brutus has the charisma, and I feel like he has what it takes, but Gorian Shard has like too much prior experience.
You're right. Right.
Like he's a better admiral than he is a better pirate. Brutus is a pirate wholeheartedly. Gorian Shard, like I think he just gets off on having an armada and like having like, you know, he takes it from like the space gangster aspect of it versus the I want to steal shit and I want to be as strong as I can individually.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking a fight, then of course Brutus is winning that fight, like no question.
Yeah.
But like a naval pirate battle, Gorian Shard might have the upper hand with like
right. But that's purely there. But like
strategy.
if we're looking at Hondo Anaka though, for example, like Hondo, he's like in between. Oh, hello, Crystal.
Hello, Crystal.
But yeah, like Hondo, he doesn't care about having a giant armada. He's on that Walter White mindset of like I
God,
you know, I just
the analogy.
I want to be the best of myself and make as much money as I can for myself, and then like I'm gonna shoot anyone else.
Longer profitable.
Yeah,
Bendu, Kyle,
profitable.
I'm gonna be ambitious. What if Hondo shows up finally live action here? What if he finally shows up? And maybe as a nod to Clone Wars, they gave him another OG ship that he had, which is basically a UFO. Just give him a UFO ship from Clone Wars, and he arrives because like I'm like out of all these shows, all these stories, this is the one that makes sense. That
for sure.
This pirate shows up.
If you're a pirate character, this is your show to arrive in. I totally agree with that. It would honestly, if they use the ship like that. That would be a really cool way to do it because every time they've brought someone into live action, they've done it in such a way that like first they show you something where watchers of the show will instantly know what it is, but casual watchers are left in suspense for like a few beats more.
Yeah.
Like they did that in the Book of Boba Fett when Cad Bane shows up on the horizon, right? They did that way specifically as a treat for the show fans because we all saw that silhouette and we saw that wide-brimmed hat and we immediately knew that it was Cad Bane.
And the music, yeah.
And yeah, like the music cue, everything. But like the casual watchers who haven't seen the Clone Wars, they were like, oh, I wonder who that could be. Who's that going to be? Like, and the show, I like how the show splits off in those ways to like, they give an extra level of service to fans that know what these little Easter eggs are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like how they would possibly make that transition though, or like
I'm thinking what I'm thinking is they use the flying saucer silhouette because only one pirate has that ship, you know.
But like what would be the reason though? So like the kids are trying to find their way home,
right?
So if it ended up being some random episode where Jod where they get some like tip of like, hey, you should talk to this other pirate dude and he might have information on your missing planet because
it would be a meanwhile. It would be a meanwhile, and it would be Brutus consolidating power within the pirate hierarchy.
I think, yeah, actually, that would make more sense.
And he would go to meet with some other pirate captain, and Hondo would happen to be at the location of the meeting.
That would make more sense than what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I don't think that he would be like, "Hey, I'm joining your crew." He'd be more like part of the periphery of
yeah. No,
the
thing,
you know?
Yeah, I was thinking way more Bad Batch about it. Of like, oh, we need more information on how to find this thing. You should talk to Hondo, and then Hondo's like, "Oh, I'm not going to give you information unless you like do this mini mission for me." And then like kind of bullshit like that. But if they have a Pirates Guild like Tortuga meeting, like that would absolutely make more sense.
Dude, that'd be
It'd be an ambitious.
I gotta go back and see the Pelta class.
There's a
or the Gozanti.
There's a design that could source someone pointed out of like an alternative original version of the Falcon that they use in the background and whatnot.
Yes,
and like
the reason they changed it is because Space 1999 came out and had a very similar ship. So they took the long part of it and turned it into the blockade runner, and they took the very end of the nose of it and made that the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon and built an entirely different shape around that.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay.
But yeah, it's because of another TV show called Space 1999 that was coming out the same year, and they basically had the same ship design, so they changed it last second.
I feel
I'll have
another
to
ambitious
Google
thing
that
is that
shit
if
now.
we're gonna meet Hondo in the show, if
Yeah, throw it out there. Manifest
then
it.
let's go to Black Spire Outpost. Let's go to Black Spire Outpost,
Okay,
and
you
it's like
really are being ambitious.
finally make that
Make
a thing.
Galaxy's Edge canon.
Yeah, don't just mention it as a thing in Solo. Like be there, and it's like there's enough stuff there, wacky stuff to find out a map or something. And then, by the way, there's a pirate who runs something there, and then without even showing, we just hear hello, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's him.
Do we have a timeline on when Hondo arrives at Galaxy's Edge, when that becomes his base of operations? Because I think we might be a little bit early for that.
I think so, just because he does entangle with Chewie eventually. I know that, which if you ride the ride, if you will, but
right. But he's doing that with
maybe
Chewie in service of like
because the Resistance already exists,
and Rey is like grown up and everything. So we've got 30 years to go before we know that he's there. But who knows? He could have gotten there a long time ago.
He could have visited.
I feel like Hondo is such a good businessman. He'd be more established than that if he'd been there a while. He feels like he's been there for a few weeks to a few months, based on like how ramshackle his whole smuggling operation, like the shipping business.
Yeah.
Brent, I agree with Brent's comment. If that happened, if that got wind of that, I think we would all be like, they're doing it. They're
that's what I was going to say. Is obviously the challenge that comes with that? Because if they film there, we're going to know, and we're going to know immediately. So I feel like they would just use their fuck it Disney budget money and like
rebuild it somewhere.
Literally rebuild the park. Build the park again as a set. Like literally
a whole new set. Yeah.
They're like, we wanted to keep it under wraps, so we built an entire Disneyland in the volume.
Mm-hmm.
We just rebuilt the entire park. It's fine.
The whole thing physically, and then they just got like a volume to extend it to continue on like the Black Spire. I would really like to explore it, and I'd also like to be able to explore it in like an open world game. Just some sort of a way of stitching what we can physically go to like the rest of the planet, you know,
the history of it. Yeah,
totally. So that way, when I'm standing in the market outpost, I'm looking down the lane that goes to like where the Indiana Jones ride is, whatever that's called.
Adventureland, yeah.
Adventureland, thank you. Yeah, with like the road down to, like you can know in your head, in canon, that road takes me to like the such and such station, and there's a jungle over there. And
that's what I used Delilah Dawson's book for. Like I remember this, they mentioned this tree about good fortune, if you will, almost like a good fortune tree, and I'm like, that's the tree where the people put their good fortune for. And like, yeah, like just take that whole section, go read Dawson's book, and like just fill out the stuff there, because again, it's such a rich tapestry that like they barely scratched the edge of.
Oh, I literally have done that. There's video evidence of me doing that and falling on my ass. It's pretty good.
It's good shit. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
And also
Honda leading a rescue armada when the kids are captured. They better be very careful, because I hear the enemy is very accurate with their fire. So. And we can't all be Master Toyota. So.
Oh snap! Yeah. Oh snap!
I'm sorry. I'll hit myself with this.
Out.
Ted, I got your voucher.
Out.
Sorry.
Choices made.
You know, I had to do it to him.
I love that. I love it.
Dude, such Wizard of Oz vibes with the supervisor. Yes. It's absolutely man behind the curtain.
Yes.
Someone's pulling the strings. And the last time that Star Wars did a Wizard of Oz thing, what was it? It was pit droids. Remember? It was 3 pit droids that were pretending to be a deity and like ruling a whole fucking civilization. It was the episode where R2 and 3PO get like stranded somewhere, and they do like the whole Gulliver's Travels thing, and they go to like 3 different planets.
Uh-huh.
On one of the planets, they like R2-D2 falls over and accidentally kills like the leader of the society. And then they go to the next planet. Wars? Yeah, Clone Wars episode. Yeah. And then they go to the next planet, and there's like these little primitive people that are being told what to do by this big disembodied voice, and they think it's their god. And then it turns out it's like these 3 fucking pit droids in a crashed ship using the intercom system to like be worshipped by these like. So it's totally going to be that sort of a situation again. Like there's some wool being pulled over someone's eyes. The great work is either a sham, or what started as a legitimate effort has been co-opted by someone who's like taking advantage of all this somehow.
Yeah.
Like someone's benefiting from this in like in an unsavory way, and I can't quite figure out how it's all together.
There were a lot of, so like in some of the different scenes where we were showing the neighborhoods of the planet and like of Attin, and like I was just thinking to myself, and we were seeing the security droid like kind of walking around, and I was like, man, like in some aspect, a lot of this architecture is like super brutalist and like very District B13. And then at the other and then my brain started to like go from there to like again the Chernobyl idea of like, dude, this planet has to be a factory planet. Like there's so much random like over security.
Yeah.
And just like there's too many hush things, and everyone seems to be overly anxious.
I mean, even Neil's picking up on the weirdness of it all. Asking
the kids,
them, like,
yeah, I love that.
Like, what do they analyze? They're analysts. Like, what's the great work really about?
So yeah, it'll be really cool. I hope we do get to kind of find out a little bit more about the planet, and that's not just character development and set development just for the sake of set development.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will by the end of this, and I think it will stay secondary to the main plot at all times. But it's just going to be like this fun, passive mystery to solve while we're trying to find our way home because we got on the wrong bus. Like you said, that's such a good analogy. That cracked me up. But at the
same time, so something else that I was thinking about that we found out at the library that was really cool when the owl thing like unraveled the old Republic scroll. Like, dude, the words
translate it
so fantastic. And then like the fact that the kids didn't even know that the Galactic War had happened.
Alderaan, yeah.
Dude, like, yeah, when like, oh yeah, no, we learned about Alderaan in school, and then the
and they're like awkward.
Like, oh, you missed the war? Yeah. It's like,
oh, you missed the war. Oh, Alderaan's Rocky Road right now. Like, there is no Alderaan. Like,
oh, not Rocky Road. That's
like, bro, spell it.
That's brutal.
You spell Alderaan, like, yeah, but you know, like, they're so closed off. So it's very, yeah. I'm really curious if like what in the Atlantis is sort of going on. Like, are they producing energy, or like are they a money and like credits refinery? Like,
I'm thinking
but, like, there's so much that could be going on.
I'm thinking the supervisor is either a person taking advantage of their isolation and benefiting somehow. Like one person is secretly in contact with the outside galaxy, or the supervisor is a droid that has malfunctioned over the thousands of years and has taken the rules too far and is interpreting them in the wrong way. And it's actually just like, and that's why no one ever knows who the supervisor is. They just keep sending droids to relay.
Oh yeah.
So what if it's like a supercomputer, you know, a droid brain or something is the actual supervisor? I could see it going that direction as well. But there's some big news in this episode. We hit a milestone. We got our first gonk droid in Skeleton Crew.
I missed it. Yeah. I was too distracted.
You missed him?
At all the other droids, and like was too distracted by the fact that like the alien that we saw with Dr. Octopus voice was using a B1 leg as a cane. Like that was too golden and too good. Oh, I guess yeah, okay.
There
Look at it sitting over there. Man.
There he is right there.
Oh man, absolutely dysfunctional and not turned on. But yeah. Oh yeah, who was the prince? Dude,
yeah, that's right. The droid talked about a prince.
That other droid, it was like, oh my god.
I'm wondering if that's like a very like deep cut in some sort of novel, throwaway novel that that droid was a part of. I was like,
I'm sure.
Explain, or Kyle's gonna tell me who the prince is later on. I'm like, that's probably a deep cut.
I can do some research and find out who the prince is. I have an idea of where it might come from, but yeah, that one escapes me like off the top of my head. It's definitely not a throwaway reference. Like there is some prince being referred to here. Someone from Legends is being canonized with that.
Assassinated and killed currently when that droid was turned off. Dude, that's so messed up. And then he wakes up with like that's the last bit of text
knowledge.
In his backlog is like assassinating the prince. And you're like, oh my god, what year is it?
It's messed up, man. It makes me think of Empire Strikes Back. Remember how like 3PO gets blown apart, and when Chewie finally puts them back together, he like wakes up screaming.
Dude,
We're in danger.
yeah,
Oh no, I'll be
Turned him
shot.
back on. He's still like, oh, he's like
Dude,
experiencing
you're an
getting ripped
adult
apart.
when you like realize and recognize what was happening to him. Like I never really picked up on that or anything. I thought he was just like shocked from like being like turned back on or something. But the fact that like the last thing he said is like, "Oh no, they have blasters," and then dude, like that's the last.
Oh no, I've been shot.
Text. That's messed up. It's so it's wild.
Yeah,
And the battle droid.
it's like someone's final moments. The battle droid, getting to hear the voice, that was fun.
Did we win? Like,
did we win?
Boy, what? What?
And yeah, Jod interacting with SM33 was great.
Dude.
I love the way he tried to like get tall, and then SM33 just like rose and was like, he's like, I can keep going. I'll get as tall as I need to be for this. Like,
yeah, dude, he was about ready to just Donkey Kong bonk him on the head, man.
Seriously, boom. Oh man.
Yeah, doing the hard pokes to the shoulder and everything.
Not Prince Lee Char. We know about Prince Lee Char. He has a pretty grim ending as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the interaction with the droids.
Totally.
Yeah, man, like oh. Yeah.
SM33 has been very deliberately programmed to be this way too.
Something So something that all the viewers will eventually like hear and hear us or like watch us reflect on was just so the puppet creature for the owl and like SM33 and just looking at how good and flawless they are, just purely like design wise, and then going back,
so impressive, dude.
Going back to like everything. All the wires and everything that was put together to Grogu, the fact that Grogu was two different puppets put together, like the really functioning, like movable one for like that's a standalone piece,
like a hero puppet and a stunt puppet almost.
Yeah,
and then the one that's like hooked up to all the wires and computers still, so that they can do like the close-up shots. Like they utilized everything they learned with Grogu, so that like they could put everything into this owl creature. And like similarly with like what Huyang.
I was gonna say Huyang's, yeah. The footage I've seen of that, like, yeah.
And the realism for Huyang and Ahsoka, dude. SM33 is like going Super Saiyan with everything that every clank, every like just like openly like exerted energy movement that SM33 does.
It's
like,
so organic and like real feeling, you know.
Yes, it's like
you feel the rustiness.
Yeah, that was hilarious. When he like came back to say it one more time and then like popped off again. It reminded me of Shepherd Book in Firefly being like a special hell. And like he leaves. He comes back and says it again. Like also, Get Out. An R2 unit. Come on. Like I have any place to talk about other people's puns. I'm the worst.
It's amazing.
I'm loving it. Shout out to Neil for keeping minds the little rat that lives inside his eye. He was like, okay, you gotta save our droid, but also the little mouse that lives inside his head. Like, bro, that's just adorable. And of course, it's Neil who's also later feeding said mouse. Like,
well, that's because Neil knows. Neil has known nothing but love his whole life. Like we saw it in that little snippet of his home life with his family. Like, of course, he would be like just nurturing to something smaller than him as a default because that's what he experiences all the time.
That's true.
He's such a sweet little good kid. That Neil, we love our Neil.
Yeah, man, I'm jealous of that Funko. I'm like, damn it.
Oh, I got the Neil Funko.
Oh,
like his head. Like,
sorry, not to rub it in.
He's like visually, he was meant to be a Pops figure. Like just looking at him, he was meant to be a Funko.
He does kind of look like a Funko Pop.
So
that came to, like someone made a wish and he came to life or something.
Exactly, Indian in the cupboard. Snoring, creaky fried rice. Dude, the whistling that was coming out of his trunk, that was like
his snoring. Yeah,
that was so cute. That was so real and like just absolutely him.
His stomach gargling as soon as they saw Jod eating one out.
The oatmeal, dude, the blue oatmeal.
It was totally blue oatmeal. That's totally what it was.
A mouse and an elephant. What a pair. Dude, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even realize that until you said that. That's funny.
Yeah, no, fully. I just, yeah, that's a great connection to make too. Also, his dad looks like Babar, straight up. He just is a straight up elephant with tusks, and he wears like a business suit. Like that's Babar. It just is.
That's so funny. It's too
Just
funny.
seeing Wim's dad and be like, damn, I it's that like I remember we were like, oh, now you worried about your son. Now you want to
Hey
read him that
man,
story.
give Wendell a break. Wendell is doing the best he can. He clearly has not processed the death of the mom at all, and that's
true.
why he's like throwing himself wholeheartedly into work. Is because he can't like. That's what I think his subtext is, that he hasn't been able to work through it himself yet, and therefore can't like be there for his kid. His kid, like Wim, is probably the spitting image of the wife who died too. So he like can barely look at him,
Yeah.
Like that's definitely like there's definitely underlying pain there, but also so much love. Like he does love his kid, he just doesn't know what to do about it. I feel for the parents. I actually feel for the parents quite a lot.
Dude,
Sometimes in these stories, it's like the
to
parents
have a
should have known
security
better.
droid, and then to have a security droid tell you that, oh, well, theoretically, since your children escaped on a starship that shouldn't have existed in the first place, and it flew through our barrier, we're not gonna contact the High Republic because that would compromise our security.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah,
We're
the parents are like,
gonna
our
send
children found a
acknowledgement
ship and then
email.
took it off the planet. And the droid's like, I see this as an absolute win.
Yeah, like
The ship's off our planet. It's outside the barrier. It's not our problem anymore.
Oh well.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You get to spend a little bit less on your groceries now every week.
No.
You never had it so good.
But dude, the creepiness though of like the shots of watching the security droids just aimlessly walk through the nature and walk through the neighborhoods, like, man, it's so visually oppressive. It's so
THX.
strangely,
It's
like,
THX. Yeah. It's got that
Yeah.
that polished version of THX, if you will, with the Valley Pasadena look. And yeah, I just imagine them just not only are they watching the people with their cameras, but they're probably sending the signal to the supervisor of like, this is the footage of any disturbance happening in these areas of like off
the
limit
homeowners
areas.
association is in charge of the whole
Absolute
planet.
surveillance state. Yeah.
HOA, man, it's the worst.
Yeah, the whole planet is one giant HOA. That is my nightmare.
I look forward to the parents exposing what's really going on.
That would be really cool. It'd be really cool if we go there
if
and we
it
have
has-
having this one adventure, and then the parents are having a simultaneous adventure in their own little group. So at the end, if it all goes right, everybody's friends. Be great. That is an 80s trope too, is that like while the kids are having their kid adventure, the parents end up on their own parent adventure. And usually it results in the parents appreciating the kids more by the end of the story. So that's that. I think that's where Wendell and Wim is headed at the very least. But like, yeah, no, the parents are going to get into some capers, and hopefully we'll end up face to face with the supervisor by the end of this. I guess that's a question. Do you guys think that the kids are going to come back to Attin in this first season?
I think so, because I kind of speak for myself. I don't want it to be something that like leads off to that it has to be a second season thing. No, Toy Story in this season, and
keep it self-contained.
Yeah, and if you have more stories you want to tell with these kids, which they've said that they might have, then you do something else with these kids, like this whole conspiracy, if you will. Like keep this self-contained, and even tell a story. Have these kids have an experience, and now where they're growing up, and now they know what they want to be or what they want to do, and maybe it also enlightens the adults now. I'll be like, okay. Well, we were working under a shady livelihood, but now our kids are going through what we went through. Now, are we going to stick by that rhythm, or are we going to change and give them a choice?
Sure, give them the option.
What they want to do. And then you pull a little rug, and it's like, all right, what's this all about? And you leave that for us who've been watching all these shows. I'm like, okay, what does this mean now for the New Republic that's supposed to be keeping everything in order since the revolution?
Right.
What does this mean when something has been hidden under your nose?
They could take the story in either direction and keep it grounded or they could, because now the New Republic presumably has been made aware of the existence of Attin.
Yeah.
Maybe not for the first time. It sounds like there's urban legends all over about this place, but like maybe this is the first time they've gotten any actionable intel about it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they'll ever find it. Will it stay a mystery? Will it stay hidden? Will it end up joining the galaxy around it? Like that would fundamentally smash their society. It would change
Mhm.
change a lot of things, I'm sure. Yeah, it's crazy that they
I
don't
think
even know. They don't
I
even
think a
know that
lot of the
Alderaan's not
answers
around.
I think a lot of the answers would reveal themselves if or when we find out what the planet actually produces or what the planet is made of. Because I think that would really kind of emphasize either A, why we like maybe it's like the Star Forge and like they create ships or something and like because we still like Exegol wise we don't know how Palpatine like built the second Sith Armada for example or like
Right, the Exegol Armada.
Final
yeah
order. Yeah.
so it's like or there's a lot of money that goes into making a new government so like again and they don't know about the war so it's like I don't know like there's so much that could happen afterwards. Like someone last week was also talking about how the first two episodes reminded them of the Shyamalan movie The Village, where they had the collection of people who wanted to escape mainland society because they
Right.
all like family member got murdered, they got robbed, they just didn't want
Self-imposed
to do it.
exiles.
Yeah, so like that billionaire dude just like made a compound in the middle of a national forest and then just like had it closed off from the rest of society or whatnot. So like that could be something that Attin is too, if they want to use the metaphor of like the true treasure is family and the true treasure is people. But like, I mean that would be rough. But again, like it's if they're really going with the 80s tropes, they could really go with the 80s trope of like, our product is self-sufficient energy or something maybe like who even knows that again that'll be later to be revealed but also again I really like that this show kind of what we said at the beginning there's nothing that's really like hugely world ending or massively heavy about it it's just pirates and international crime so it's like if they wanted to, we could go back to the Pike Syndicate with stuff, or like in the Grogu Mandalorian movie in the future, we could get more. The treasure is the friends we make. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you.
Exactly. So like, because someone in the chat earlier was all saying, I want to know why the two people killed themselves when they crashed on the planet. Exactly. It's a similar thing. They could have stabbed each other because they were like, you said that this was going to be El Dorado and everything was going to be made of gold and there's fucking nothing at all.
Here's a thought.
And then the other one could have been like, I want all the treasure for myself. And then like, they stabbed each other.
One-Eyed Willie. Yeah.
A fully One-Eyed Willie situation, which I think makes sense given what happened with the ship and everything. My thought is there any chance, since we're now confirming that we're talking High Republic era, could either the ship be a Nile ship, or could the barrier be Nile tech? Thinking about like the storm wall and the occlusion zone and like how they developed technology to cut off and barrier sections of space.
That is not, since everything is matching up that it's Old Republic.
Well, I guess if it was a Nile ship, it would have been destroyed by the storm wall if they passed through it then. Okay, so maybe it's not. But either way, I'd like the storm wall tech is one of the first things that I thought of when I saw the barrier being that way. Because even like with the little red dots, those could be storm seeds, like it totally could work.
Yeah. I feel like that this, specifically with this show, you can start dropping those stuff that connects to the High and the Old Republic. You can start making things factual. Like, listen, maybe that age is gone, but there's still leftovers from that. Which again, I think it's hard for a lot of people who are digesting all these movies and shows and whatnot. That like, I don't think people realize that on a live action or animated level, Star Wars for me has barely scratched the surface. Like we've barely scratched the potential and the space where we can go with these galaxies. And now with Ahsoka, there's another galaxy out there that we don't know about. And it's just like so much is lying around that it's there to explore that doesn't have to involve the stake of the galaxy. It's like, oh, we just ran into something very ancient that if you are a geek like us, you'll know what we're referring
like
to.
the giant mech beast that fought the Zillow beasts in Bad Batch, like so random, so niche and out of nowhere, and like such dead society of like who built this giant mecha that with giant like nuclear powered laser in the front.
Or like in the damn comics when Vader like rides a Suma Verminoth down to Exegol and has like a kaiju battle against Palpatine, like just because it's cool.
Yeah.
Star Wars has always been for this. This is when it's at its best.
Mm-hmm.
And most ridiculous, when the deepest of cuts get to come to the surface, like the things that we could have in live action if they were brave enough to be proper weird. Weird.
10,000 gas planets to explore. Dude, okay. Can we talk about how gorgeously marbled and great the silhouette shots were of
it was
the
gorgeous.
gas
It was
planet,
gorgeous.
dude?
It
And
was
just
made,
like
it was made much more cool by the fact that we heard a theremin in that moment.
Yes.
Like that super old school, like such a great musical instrument. And I can't believe we haven't heard one in Star Wars until now. But yeah, those shots were just, like you said, how marbled the gas giant looked. Like the pinks and purples and the hues too, like against that brilliant white. The cinematography has been really kicking it, like really, really kicking ass. I've been really enjoying that aspect of the show as well. Like the art direction, the production design, the
designs.
effect. It's all there, man. It's all there. This show has been a banger. They just need to continue to have good storytelling and good performances. And like this will be an all-timer, man. I'm having so much fun with it, honestly.
Thus far, yeah. And now it's weird because I mean I've told you guys, but I had already seen this a while back. So I'm like, all right, now everybody's caught up. Now I don't know where the hell they're going with it, and now I can see where the stuff is picked up and whatnot.
And that's exciting too. Level playing field for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Because and I was guilty of this too. Like I went and I got to see the first 3 episodes of The Acolyte early.
I remember this, yeah.
And it was very, very difficult not to just like drop these little hints and remarks and like spoilers and things. And I did okay. I did pretty good about resisting. But like there are people out there that are like doing such for the first 3 episodes of Skeleton Crew right now. But like now nobody knows. Yeah. And so the danger of being spoiled before the episode comes out has dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
And so that I think is a relief as well. And also it's just fun knowing that we're all of us around the world, we're all doing something at the same time. You know?
Yeah.
And we're all having such similar thoughts and reactions to these things. And you know, it's just another way for us all to feel connected to each other. And I really like that.
I had a thought. And I could be stretching it, but I could have sworn that when the kids and Jack got out of the brink, did a Wookiee pass them? Someone was robbing like an animal or whatnot, and I heard a growl. And it could be my imagination.
I'm okay. So I saw the prodding going on. I did not see a Wookiee.
Okay.
Yeah, I was too distracted by the giant tentacle that was also sticking out of the wall.
Like a boar gullet ass fool just in one of those cells. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, for a second I was like, "Is that a Wookiee?" And then I was like, "All right, never mind. I'm settle my expectations, whatnot."
I think that Brutus needs his own show.
I need that bigger.
Fly on the wall of his ship all times.
Definitely his own couple episodes for sure. Like I definitely want to know more about him and like.
I hope he's not a one-off. Yeah, I hope like please don't kill him off. Like keep him like. My problem a lot with these new characters that they're building, it's just like they're off and that's it. It's like, no, keep them growing and add layers to them. The last thing people are going to forget is, we had a space werewolf in this show. When I was like, no, do more with that stuff. Like, you don't have to. Right. There's new toys being new. Well,
Star Wars was the show. Star Wars used to be the thing where no one stays dead. And now it seems like a lot of these new guys are disposable, like you're saying. Like Gorian Shard. I feel like Gorian Shard died way too fast. You could have gotten at least a season out of him.
Yeah.
He was in like maybe 3 episodes and then he was done.
For me, Bane. Like there's something that in live action you could have done more with Cad.
They brought him in and killed him immediately. That's a valid criticism.
Yeah.
But honestly, I wouldn't want more of Cad Bane as this old man. I would want them to give us some live action stories of younger Cad Bane.
Sure.
Yeah, he was kind of a victim of the timeline in that, like, we're telling a story, Book of Boba Fett, like, he's got to be so old by this point anyway.
To an extent, yeah. Again, I think it's something like him, which I hope, Brutus becomes something like that with Bane, which is like, all right, you're introducing this character now to live action, and don't just use them as a thing to end an arc. Use that,
Right.
and yet give people time to catch up with what's his history, and then when everybody's on the same quote unquote same plain playing field, then you can kill
Exactly.
him off if you want to. And that's something like again, I don't know why I get kick out of stuff like seeing when the X-wing pilots were flying in. At first, I'm like, is that
It's just so classic.
Carson? And
That's where my mind
That's-
went too. I was like, is that going to be Carson Teva? But it wasn't. And and you know what? I was relieved that it wasn't.
that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna meet another pilot finally.
Yeah.
There was like a very brief millisecond where I thought that it could have been Zeb. And I was like, oh, that would have been so fucking funny.
I mean,
But no.
it turns into the problem that like Ryan Murphy's 911 has, where like Athena Grant is the only cop in LA. Like if there's a crime in LA, you know Athena's gonna pull up in her car. She's like the only
One and only
police officer in the whole Los Angeles. She's always there. And if anything is on fire, the 118 is gonna show up because that's all they got.
Yeah,
That's kind
regardless
of what
of
Carson Teva like runs the risk of doing, I think, in Star Wars is that like he can't be
He's
the
overused.
he can't be the only pilot. We need more pilots.
Yeah.
If he's the only pilot, it makes it feel like the New Republic government is like 6 members. Like
A small club.
they're patrolling a galaxy. It should be rarely the same pilot twice. You know?
Yeah.
That's what should be a special occasion. That's what I'm saying, Droid. It would feel really small if it was just him. Like, how big is your beat, dude? You're like from one side of the universe to the other. That's
they only
Hitchhiker's Guide
patrol core
logic.
planet.
Yeah.
They patrol sectors, sectors on their own, which makes perfect sense, I think.
Yeah. But man, and also the music.
Yes.
The music,
Giacchino.
I've touched on this one a few times, where it's just continued to knock it out of the park. Even the closing credits, like the song is just like so chill and just like has that continued adventure vibe to it of like, like this thing happened, but like the show itself, thankfully, I mean, it's really early in the game to really say, but like versus Bad Batch, this show doesn't really seem like it's going to do the trope of like each episode is going to be a new adventure. Like I appreciate that this show seems like it's going to have a very consistent sort of trial or timeline. The only difference is like kind of like what we were saying with Brutus. I really hope that we get a couple of episodes that aren't like main cast focused.
That's always when these kinds of shows seem to shine,
right?
Most.
Like, or if we do get like
interludes.
one episode that is purely dedicated to the parents, like it would be interesting to see more outside story that's still focused within like this one story.
Right.
But yeah, Mick, I think for me, 2 for 2 between the Penguin and now Skeleton Crew. He's knocking at it with his own style. And I know Lucasfilm is watching this. So Lucasfilm, please release these soundtracks in CD and vinyl. I want these.
Yes,
I want
please.
physical media.
Vinyl, yeah.
Honestly, I'd take a
CD.
vinyl of the Penguin soundtrack too. It was so good. It was so good.
I have not watched the Penguin, but I know that with Mandalorian and Ahsoka,
so good.
they just released like the DVD
Blu-rays, 4Ks,
the Blu-rays for like each
Oh
season.
man, I didn't even put that one together, but I should have, because Second Star on the Right, that's one of, I quote that all the time.
So
Can't
funny.
believe I missed that. But yeah, no, that's a great reference.
Also, speaking of random references, that my brain was like, wasn't it funny when the fact that the ship was tied to the gas line and they did the 80s trope also of like, oh, we're going to go to the biker bar, but we don't want to get chased by the bikers. Better knock over all of their shit. Better like
That's
mess
totally
up
what it
all
was.
of their rides
Totally
so that we have a cleaner getaway. Like, yes,
now the tropes are there. They're being very lovingly recreated, and there's a lot of like careful tribute and homage being played here. And it doesn't just feel like a bunch of ham-fisted references. Like I really think that they are trying to make it their own and be like kind of respectful of what came before in a way that I appreciate. It doesn't feel like they're just trying to like cash in on the nostalgia so much as like they themselves are paying tribute to it alongside us.
Yeah,
that's the feeling that I get from a lot of it anyway. We are pretty much out of time. This has been the Dork Forces podcast, episode 91. We recapped Skeleton Crew episode 3. Yeah, no, this was a fun one, and it feels like the adventure is now properly underway. I think we have our entire cast of characters pretty much identified,
We
except
did
for the
get a lot of
supervisor.
clips.
We got the
This
one left.
last episode did give us a lot of teaser trailer clips that we've seen in prior commercials. So we are slowly whittling
My
away
dog, yes, the
footage that
dog.
we have seen.
Totally.
But
Totally.
before we leave, the other thing that I thought was really absolutely hilarious and something that we don't necessarily always get to see in Star Wars, the use of zero gravity. So we really got to see it utilized in, I think, it wasn't Rogue One. It was the last of the trilogy, the last of the new trilogy, where they used the Hammerhead cruiser to hit the Star Destroyer into the other Star Destroyer.
That was Rogue One.
Rogue One. That was Rogue One.
Oh god, fucking brilliant! So like that, plus with this episode, using like knocking the other ship into the other ships and like using
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah.
But also the fact that the black onyx had a stink cloud around it, that all of the dirt and debris slowly emanated off of it in zero gravity. It was just like such a small but beautiful, hilarious detail. Yeah. Like that was so good. And then Jude Law's stank face when he was like, "That's the ship." It literally looked like Pigpen from Peanuts and Snoopy.
Thank you. Yes, it's called the Onyx
a cloud around it. Like
now Jack has a bounty, and that's just like I love that. Like now it's not just these pirates that are after him.
I wonder if this means we're gonna get some bounty hunters that we know about. That would be
I'm too ambitious because I kept saying, what if it's Hondo? What if the person who had the maps? What if it's Dr. Aphra? And I'm like,
dude, I said Aphra.
Yeah, I was just like, there's so many possibilities now, and like it's open to pulling.
It could be anyone, but at the same time, it could be none of them, and that needs to be okay too, because the galaxy can't get small. We got to keep
set expectations. Yeah,
we got to keep bringing in new characters too.
Yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens next. I think adding bounty hunters to the mix is just going to make it more awesome. And if I was going to put money on a recognizable bounty hunter showing up, I would say probably Fennec Shand. To be perfect, I feel like it would be Fennec Shand, or maybe Bosk. I do love Bosk.
Bosk would be great. Bosk would be great. I will happily put $5 into the Bosk sighting.
What about what about live action Dengar played by Simon Pegg?
Nick Frost is
I mean, so how far after Return of the Jedi is this show supposed to take place?
It's alongside The Mandalorian, so like 6 years.
6 years.
Dengar would be an old man. Dengar would have to be very old man. Still
not that old.
I don't know.
Like middle-aged. He's like Simon Pegg's age, just about.
Bosk.
He's not Rothgar Deng yet. He's got like Bosk 20 years to go. Bosk would be amazing. Bosk would be amazing.
Prime.
Shout out to the scorekeeper fan
hilarious deep cut. It would be the weird insect robot looking bounty hunter and like his friend.
Oh, Zuckuss and Forlom?
Yeah, unless they're dead. I don't remember.
They are definitely not dead.
Yeah.
Oh, then pull them. Yeah,
they
bring
are
them to the forefront.
Thriving. All right, Zuckuss is thriving, as everybody who watches Katarn knows. He's one of my favorite voices to do.
Yeah, that's Zuckuss and Forlom. Like that's
Gand Feindman.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, deep cuts.
Endless.
Gand's only breathe ammonia, and that makes me every time I think about it. I'm like, be horrible. Anyway, let that be the last thought that we'll leave you with here on the Dork Forces podcast, episode number 91. Thank you so much for listening. We are Kyle and Bendu and Ronin. Ronin, tell the people where they can find you. What are you up to these days?
First, and I'm always going to say this, but it's a pleasure and honor to be with you guys to just geek out even for like an hour or so about Star Wars. So I don't take this lightly, and I don't it's to me it's highlights of my life in the year. But you can find me at Ronin Unchained on YouTube, on Twitter, and all the socials, Threads, Blue Sky. I'm covering obviously this show. Creature Commandos is a solid neat thing to add to your holiday season watchings. Prophecy, and what else can I tease? Let's just say I'm working on other stuff, and even now I'm starting to like hit up people for April. So be
It's gonna be insane.
be on the lookout for the next few coming weeks and months.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, make sure to follow Ronin. He's a great guy. And if you're coming to Japan in April, you're gonna be hanging out with both of us. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Yeah.
Thanks again so much for watching, everybody. This has been the Dork Forces podcast. We'll catch you next time. And as always,
May
May the force be with you.